one of the biggest things that the pundits, your board that you don't have yet, or a couple of you have some board members, and the banks, and your relatives, and your significant others, and the other gurus out there slam the system about is overfinancing because they say it's not possible. I just got an email at 7:44 this morning. When was that? 10 minutes ago? Which I took the name out because you go to his house and you're going to hawk him like a fucking cunt. But I'm going to pass the email out. And this is from a guy in the world where you can't do it there. Not possible. Dear Mr. Peña, exactly a year ago I attended the Castle Seminar, June 2017. Although I was kicked out, like most of you are going to get kicked out, of the coaching program at the beginning of this year, I kept pulling the trigger as you taught us. Last week I closed my first deal, 130% overfinanced. Within 3 weeks, I'm closing my second deal, 120% overfinanced. Thank you very much. You're a god. Okay. Yeah. Were you in that deal?
Yeah.
Oh, you were? Okay. I kicked you out too. So it is not the foundation of our program, but it is one of the pillars for sure. Overfinance. Why? Because you're all fucking bust broke for the most part, and you need some money in your pockets. And why did I come up with this? Because I was fucking flat broke when I first did it. And in the infamous words of Bruce the Whipple, if you don't fucking ask, you don't fucking get. If you don't ask, you don't get. And overfinancing is such a norm to me. I mean, I don't even think about it, really. Other than when you cry and I can see the tears on your weekly reports. The two banks told me to go, they don't say it this way, to go fuck myself. Oh, nobody overfinances. And I can see the tears marks. And some of you cry blood. I can see the blood marks on your weekly reports. But it is a fundamental given right that you can overfinance. There is no fucking law anyplace that says that overfinancing is not legitimate. Now, how much you overfinance is another question. You know, what's his name? Frank did a 400% overfinance. Now, I think that's the biggest stretch I've seen since the program in 25 years. 4 times the purchase price overfinance. But he bought it cheap. He got a dynamite deal. Otherwise, you can't overfinance him. And normally, when you ask for more than 20 or 25% overfinance, it could be maybe not a red flag, but an amber flag to them. But this kid did 130, the first one. And here, take one and pass it around. So when you go back there, and for those of you that have been in the business and done deals before, and it sounds foreign, well, it is foreign to everybody else except us. Everybody else except us. But it's absolutely doable. But again, if you don't ask, you don't get. So you got to ask. Now, I demand. And as you get comfortable, you'll demand. But you can demand from the beginning in a nice professional way, not necessarily how I might do it, which is considered maybe less than professional because I get, or I can get aggressive. Okay, last night was Klaus, right? The other ones were assholes. So, in a word, what is Klaus?
Smart.
Polished.
Or
Alcoa would have never hired him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was CEO. He worked his way up in 17 years, I guess, at Siemens to be CEO. And he's extremely polished. He's more polished now than he was 20 years ago when I first met him. And I'll elaborate on that, our first meeting, 60-minute meeting when we're not on YouTube, how that went. But he's one of the most polished executives on the planet. Otherwise, he wouldn't be heading up Neom, the biggest deal on the planet in the history for the kingdom of the Saudi royal family. He polished. What else?
Regimented.
Structured, focused. All the words we've described, the only word we're not using is the asshole word. But he's tough as fucking nails. He sounds like Pedro, but he acts like fucking Attila the Hun. So don't delude yourself, you little weenies, that, well, no, he's like me, he's just a cunt pussy. Because he's not. He sounds like Pedro, but he's Attila the Hun. That's a good analogy. What else? I mean, he talked about his reporting twice a week. Accountability. All the words, all the phrases that we've used to describe extraordinary leadership and the icons of industry dating back to Andrew Carnegie. And he's had his corporate up and downs. He's been thrown out unceremoniously a couple times in his almost 30-year career. And he's risen back to the pinnacle of the corporate world now. That is the biggest CEO job on the planet. A blank slate initially to spend $500 billion, which has now grown to, I don't know, $3.5 trillion. Any questions about Klaus? So you've seen them all. Not all, but I mean, in my quiver of arrows. And today at lunch, you're going to see the guy live that has done the best deal I've seen in 20 years. We had a couple deals in the 90s, the mid-90s, that were better than that, but it was a different environment. But in the last 20 years, for sure in this century, it's the best deal I've seen. It's the best deal I've seen. I mean, and number 2 and 3 and 4 aren't even close. And when you see him live today, we tried to do him live last seminar, and we had some cosmic bullshit, and he was there, and you couldn't hear him, so he's agreed to do it again. But for the people on YouTube, QLA works in the corporate world as well. It's just slower. It's just slower because every corporation that's got more than 1,000 employees has got bureaucracy. For those of you that have been with big organizations, you know what I'm talking about. The normal bureaucratic quagmire bullshit. Okay. Any questions? Anything you want to say about Klausy?
Yeah, he's not afraid to throw the whole system into chaos and to throw everybody out of their comfort zone. Not one single person, but to do it across the board when he needs to do it, and he's not afraid to do it, and he uses it frequently. Another thing is he sees himself as a mentor who's always mentoring, because people are always looking at him, which is very important. He says, I can't mentor one person, but now I'm actually mentoring thousands of people as I go.
And when he was at Siemens, he had 400,000 employees. And he started as a salesman, selling. And he worked his way up to CEO.
Another thing is the touch one system with the emails. Is that he's able to go through tons of enormous amounts of emails and material very efficiently, and not have to go back and leave things undone. He can go through and once through, get things done, and he does that by engaging the team to send them the proper emails, but to get it done once through, and he can actually go through it in a speed light of time and get a lot done.
He passes through the stuff one time. and very much in the military fashion. And in the format he uses, which you get on your gigs, he uses the format that I used at NATO 45 years ago, that it's still used. And it's basically, if you can't say it in one page, don't say it. That's the Peña bottom line. But if you can't say it in one page, and your reports are, what did you do this week? What do you plan on doing next week? Problems, challenges. And then we've added, just in the last couple of years, the last section, what am I not telling Dan? Which is opened up Pandora's box. But that's a military format. And if what you're going to do next week doesn't correspond in the next week's report with what you did, then there's a mismatch. When you say you're going to do 10 things, and you probably only get done the top 3 or 4, but if you say you're going to do them, and then the next week what you did doesn't correspond with what you said you're going to do, in the beginning you'll be very much surprised, most of you. What you will get done next week has nothing to do with what you think you're going to get done. And so why does it take so long? The guy that I just passed around the email from, he suffered from that. Not just him, but it just so happens I got the email this morning. But 95% of you suffer from the same thing. You couldn't manage your way out of a fucking wet paper bag. And why? Nobody's ever held you accountable. And you've never held yourself accountable. Because in life, you're not going to always have somebody making you accountable. You got, the reports are for you. I review them to see, what's working, what's not working. If everybody is doing the same thing, making the same mistake in the first 2 or 3 weekly reports, it's because I missed something during the seminar. That doesn't happen, really. It doesn't. And when I tell you asked and answered, that means it was asked and answered multiple times in the seminar. You just weren't listening. And the people that have done the best, the other statistic that we've kept, the people that have done the best since the managed mentor program since August of 2010 are the people that take notes. Take notes. We've had some people in the seminar that when they get back, they rewrite their notes and they categorize them. That's a little much for me, but for some people, they use the learning experience like when they went to university. For those of you that went to university, and they learn better. And they learn better. We've had German guys that have translated every single of the 8 gigs you're going to get, everything on my website, which is I think 8 or 9 gigs, and everything that you're going to receive here from English to German, and then put it in books. That's very German. Put it in books, categorize A, B through Z, or Z as they say. And we've had people that Romanian, Polish. One of the reasons I did the book in Polish a few years ago was to make it easier, because we had a lot of Polish kids. And then I did the book again in Russian. We're not planning on doing the book in any other language, so don't get all excited. But because we had a lot of Russian followers, and we had a ton of Romanian followers. I probably should have done it in German, because we probably have more German followers than any place else. And they're very systematic. And the more systematic you are in your follow-up, the better off you'll be. Now, the 8 gigs are not alphabetized, because I want you to have to go through the 8 gigs to see the material. Then you earmark them. This is this, this is this, this is this. Here's 4 templates on what to say to the banks, etc. And the better you know the 8 gigs, the better you'll do. Now, the only basic difference between the material that you're going to get and the material that's already on the website are the best practice templates. That differentiates you. You deserve that since you're here. But we've had kids that do it without coming here, as I've already said. Anything else about Klaus?
I don't know if anybody said this, but he's good when given attention, but he doesn't command attention. I kind of find myself really having to focus in on what he's saying, whereas you're just it's hard not to listen to you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's probably just a different communication
Well,
style.
yeah, he's got different skills, and Klaus isn't an alpha male. You know, he doesn't beat his chest and do cartwheels to get your attention. And Klaus gets your attention with results. You know, in the corporate world, results talk, and bullshit walks. I mean, it's results. And he was given some really crappy positions to see if he could do it. And when he turned them around, one after another, over a period of years, it was pretty obvious to the hierarchy that he was the guy to lead Siemens, which at that time was the 20th largest company in the world. Okay, YouTube, thank you.